I think if you're waiting for interest rates to go down to buy, you're actually going to miss out because I think the property prices are going to are going to increase way higher than what you're going to save on that interest rate,
I,
and what we've seen for sure for the last 2 years.
yeah. Well, here we are again. Today, Greg and I are going to be doing a little bit of a dive into the different types of parts of the market in real estate in Saskatoon. So I know 2025 was a really busy year. There's a lot of change that's happened in Saskatchewan's real estate. Greg, first off, I know there's been a big change in the luxury homes. Can you kind of give me a little bit of a dive into what you're seeing, what maybe locations that you're starting to see a lot of builders go to and people finding value in?
Yeah, Homes by Dream has now finished their kind of their infrastructure for the Willows,
Hmm.
and we're seeing a lot of houses now go up in that area, right? So a lot of custom homes.
Right.
So those ones you won't see really hit the market because those builders have pre-bought those lots, and people are going directly to the builder.
Hmm.
But we're seeing a lot more of the luxury home side of it. Valentino has a bungalow townhouse development that I think have already sold, and the people have moved in, about five or six of them.
Right.
And those are bungalows, and I mean they're only, I think, 15 to 1700 square feet. I mean, I might be a little bit off on the square footage, but
Right.
they're not much bigger than that. Double attached garage. And the smaller ones go for 1,450,000, and the more expensive ones is 1,750,000.
Right.
So it's a little interesting, just because I think, as we've talked about before in the podcast, new construction costs and land is a lot more expensive than what people think it is. Many realtors didn't think that Valentino would sell any of those lots or any of those bungalows, those bungalows in that area. And I mean, it's a supply and demand issue. I've been looking for clients in that neighborhood just for a bungalow townhouse, and really nothing has came up in the last 4 months that normally is around that 6 to 1.2 range, right? So that gives a little bit of insight just into the Willows.
Yeah.
And then you're looking into instead of calling them infills, we're talking about custom homes in established neighborhoods. So we're looking at properties where you're tearing down the property, let's say in Varsity View, Nutana, Grosvenor, and those lots are anything ranging now from about, if you don't want a 25-foot lot, you're probably ranging between 400 and 700,000 just for the lot itself, because you have to buy that house and then tear it down. And so we're seeing a lot of those properties that historically have been sitting on the market a little bit longer. I mean, just like we've had two, they've just sold in the last 2 weeks, and this is right before the Christmas holidays. So it's interesting to where I think people are starting to realize what that new price is for new. They can't just go build new and get a better deal.
Right.
So I think that's where we're seeing a lot of the luxury. And then you, of course, look at Greenbrier. You look at neighborhoods. Aspen Ridge has some around the lake in Brighton.
Yeah.
And then you're seeing a lot of people, which is a pretty hot market in the established neighborhoods in River Heights and Lawson Heights and Silverwood.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, where a lot of those properties are going for.
Right. It's crazy to see, and from the luxury side of homes is that now with 1.3, isn't a crazy number in those neighborhoods as well too. Is that, I'm seeing a lot of things, when you're looking at some of the builders and what custom homes they're doing, a lot of these are coming in at $2 to $3 million now, right? So it's really changed the dynamic of what a luxury home in Saskatoon is in the last, say, 2 years and more. And even more, especially in the last year, I found.
Yeah, and mentally, I don't think people aren't ready for it.
I don't think
right?
that the majority of people even know that that's happening.
Right.
I don't think it's really caught on. I don't believe that a lot of realtors even know what the cost is for some of those. As well,
but I mean, some of those things that we mentioned, I think before, is they've now torn down the house on Sask Crescent, but just that house on that 100 by 200 lot sold for just over 2.8 million. It's now, that's lot value. There's a lot on Sask Crescent that I believe they bought it for 1.8, I think, or maybe a little bit more than that, and they tore that down. That's sitting out as an empty lot. So, I mean, if people are believing in land being worth that much, that means those established neighborhoods will just keep on going up.
For sure. And that's also why we're seeing places like the Willows that have so much strength right now, is just because they're still paying 400 to 500 for the lot,
Yeah.
right? Rather than paying 6 or 7 in Varsity View or Nutana in some of those
And
locations,
not
right?
being able to do a double attached garage,
Yeah.
not being able to do a triple car garage,
Yeah.
right? Like people are like, if I'm buying a house for 1.8 million or 2 million, I want
Yeah.
an
There's some
attached
luxuries
garage,
that you
right?
want. Yeah.
And unfortunately, a 50-foot lot in those neighborhoods sometimes doesn't work, just because you also have the elm trees and maturity and so forth. Which,
For sure.
I mean, that's why people love it, the
Yeah.
canopy, but it goes into it. What's your thoughts on, like, I mean, that's the luxury market, which I think is pretty hot. But what about condos?
Well, I think it's depending on where you are in the city. Is it? I've had some success in the last little bit with some of the more suburbs and that kind of thing. I do think that downtown is a tough sell for people.
Right.
Is that there's been and don't get me wrong. Right now, is that condos aren't moving extremely fast. But the thing is that what we're gonna see in the next little bit. There's going to be an influx of rentals that are coming in the next year or so.
Right.
Right. So I don't think that market is it's certainly not as strong as anything else that's coming in.
But if you also want to own a property, they're not bringing on any brand new, like, buildings
No,
in and around, like, the river with the river view, right?
for
So
sure.
if it's got river view and so forth, like, I mean, I think some people will be kicking themselves if they didn't buy something now because of where the prices
Right.
are. 2 to 3 years from now, you'll be looking at them, just because the square footage to build is so much higher.
Yeah.
If you look at number one River Landing and the price per square foot in that building, that sometimes is over $650 a square foot, depending on where it's at. You're then looking at, I mean, some of these properties, you're like 320 for an older building, but it gives you just as good of views and gets you into it, because
Yeah.
those newer buildings don't even have bigger square footage units,
For
right?
sure. Your 1,000 square foot, you're kind of the larger
For a
ones
large
now,
unit, yeah.
now. And I think that those 13 and 1,400 square foot units that have the river views are still going to be in demand. I'm just saying is that there's always things in the right location with the right views that are going to have more demand. But as in condos in general, things that have been downtown in the last
Yeah.
little bit have been tougher to sell.
For
Right?
sure.
So I think it's just putting in perspective, and 100% is that things that back in the river. That's our that's the pride and joy of Saskatoon.
Because you're saying the ones on Tate, the ones on those, like, in some of the older kind of 3-floor wood frame buildings, those are selling, if they're priced right, they're selling almost right away. If the properties are in, let's say, the Market Mall area, right? Like, I mean, that's been a huge for retirement, people looking for
sure.
retirement, close to shopping and healthcare and the rest of it. I mean, those, if they're priced well as well too, might sit on the market 2 weeks.
Yeah.
If they're overpriced, I mean, of course they're going to sit there. But I mean, I think that what we're seeing is condos overall, if they're priced right, they are moving, other than maybe the downtown ones.
Yeah. No, I get that. Yeah, and it's it's just we're just not seeing with condos, they don't have the land value, and that's what's also increasing so quickly, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's why we're seeing that they're not as popular compared to other things in the market today.
You're right. Like, if a builder built a house a year ago and bought that lot, they can't build it for the same price. They got to add probably $100,000 on it just for that lot value, because of supply and demand and being able to even find that lot.
Right. Yeah.
So where do you think what's our hottest market, I guess, here in Saskatoon for price point?
Well, for price point, I think you're still in that $400,000 to $600,000 mark. That's where the majority of people are getting. Well, that's entry level housing in Saskatoon now, right? So what is our benchmark? Is that we're at 421, right, for just in November here. So from November stats. So to me, is that market is still going to be in high demand. As is that we're getting 15 showings on the first day in some of those. When you start getting above that 800, I think that there's less people that can afford it, right? And banks have been tougher for pre-approvals, that kind of thing. So all those kind of things play a factor. But definitely that 4 to 6 is that if you're not selling it in the first day or two, is that there's something either wrong with it, or it's drastically overpriced, right? So that kind of stuff is going to continue to be in super high demand in 2026 spring. I think for the next couple of years, that kind of stuff is going to be in high demand.
Yep. So so how many listings are we sitting at right now?
Well, we're around 700,
Yeah.
but at the same time is that actually that we'd have as active listings, that you're
Yeah.
probably around 5,
Right, 500. 823 agents. I think that came out. So it was like something
Yeah.
like it was 823 agents and only 535 listings, which was like a week or something ago that came out there. It's an interesting number just because there's also probably, I think, anywhere between 3,000 to 4,000 buyers out there at any time, I think right now specifically. And but I do find that right now people are still very cautious and thinking that the market might go down, right? There's a lot of people that are also looking at renewing next year on their mortgages and seeing how that's going to affect them.
Right.
And I think that I think there's a couple different things that we're not taking into consideration next year, even though I think our market will continue to be strong just because the inventory, the amount of properties on the market are going to stay low because I think the builders aren't going to build any more than they did this year,
Right.
especially with the fall slowing down.
Yeah, I get that.
But I think there's going to be a lot of people having to renew their mortgages, so they won't be able to actually move into a different price because their current properties are a lot more expensive than what they originally were when they signed their mortgage documents. Right? So if they signed at 1.89 or 2.1 and they're renewing at anywhere from, let's say, 3.65 to 4.5, what their thought of them being able to move is not going to be. So we're not having those extra properties coming to market because then people are moving either, right?
For sure. And we've been seeing that for a couple of years now. Depending on what people locked in during the
they were
pandemic.
waiting. A lot of people are waiting to hope the interest rates came way down,
Yeah.
right?
And they're not like, I don't see that interest rates are going to really see a real reduction in the next little bit. More than likely, well, everywhere across Canada, except for Saskatchewan, is seeing negative numbers when it comes down to inventory and sales. And, so we're in our own little bubble.
Yeah, I think if you're waiting for interest rates to go down to buy, you're actually going to miss out because I think the property prices are going to are going to increase way higher than what you're going to save on that interest rate, and what we've seen for sure for the last 2 years.
Yeah. So with new construction slowing down in the fall here, as the market slowed a little bit, and we kind of hit our peaks in basically July, and then we kind of leveled out for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
I know that there wasn't as many new starts in the fall. What do you think is going to happen with new construction in the spring?
Well, I don't think they at least looking at what they've done. Aspen Ridge, I'm not exactly sure where they're at for their infrastructure and so forth. Kensington, I think, has a lot out there, but it's not moving as fast as what as the east side does, but it's moving better than what it was. And then if you look at Brighton, I don't think they have as many lots available, right? Like I think a lot of that, I think they're, at least I heard a couple of times, I think they're 6 months behind. So I don't know how that's going to affect our market, and maybe I'm wrong on that number. But from what I've seen and when I drive out there, it doesn't look like they've got, like they did, like when you were driving from downtown to Brighton and you're looking on your right-hand side for the last year, you were like, man, that's a lot of stuff that they're moving. They're moving the dirt. They're getting all those lots ready and the stuff. You don't see that happening as much on the other side of would-be McCormick. Right? And so it's like, how many more lots do they need to bring to market to be able to then meet the supply? And are the builders actually looking at building heavy right now? Because a lot of them are building rentals.
Yeah.
And so that, I think those are things that we can't control, but it's going to be interesting to just see where the inventory goes, because I'm seeing a lot more showings on different properties that I've had right now, and we've conditionally sold quite a few of them that had been sitting there, pushing the price on them, but still getting good value in it. So it means there's tons of buyers still looking. Usually people slow down this time of year right before Christmas, but so I think that we drop into a market where you might have 300 to 350 listings like we did last year, and then all of a sudden things start picking up again. At least that would be my thought.
So basically you're saying is that more than likely the builders will probably do spec homes and sell off spec instead of actually building them.
I don't know if they're building as many single family. I think if they're actually building, it like townhouses.
Yeah.
Maybe even apartments, right? Like I don't think they're building many single family houses right now.
So more mid-density than actually single-family homes.
I believe so.
Right.
Yeah, like I mean, if there was a development, and I believed it was North Prairie, but they finished a development. I think it sold out like 6 or 7 months ago, and they own the land on the other side of the roundabout, and I don't even think that they've started digging.
Right.
So if they've owned the land there and they haven't started digging, that means they're going to either have to pre-sell it, so then they won't be ready till 2027, at least the
Right.
first ones. So I mean, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see where they go with it all. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we definitely need the land to be developed, and there's not that many spaces, like you're saying, is that home Brighton's getting close to the end, right?
Yeah.
Rosewood's pretty close there as well too. Aspen Ridge is obviously it's still got quite a bit, but they're a little bit slower in
Yeah.
development.
Yeah,
on that side of
Rosewood
things.
has come to an end. Brighton, I mean, that part of Brighton before it goes into Holmeswood,
Yeah.
I think is pretty close to coming to an end, I believe.
Yeah, because they're moving the dirt in Homewood.
Yeah.
Yeah. So either way, it'll be interesting to see how much activity around those actually happens. But I do think that I don't see that we're going to see a ton of influx of single family homes. I think that it's more condominiums, it's more townhouse style. We're seeing a lot of those 3-story townhouses in some of the newer neighborhoods and that kind of stuff, just because of the cost of basements, those kind of things. It'll be interesting to see how much.
It's interesting with the city of Saskatoon rezoning of all these neighborhoods, and I think it's from my perspective maybe a little too late on that, just because now the prices are so expensive that it doesn't make sense for someone to buy those lots and to be able to build a fourplex on it.
I get it,
Like they can't make any money on it. So it's like, I know a lot of these people in these neighborhoods like really worried that this was all going to happen. But now it's like you talk to a builder on something and it's like, man, I can't pay $550,000 or $600,000 for that lot and then build something on it.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't
Unless
make
someone's
sense.
owned the land before and just can pay it, paid it down a little bit and.
For sure, but then I mean,
I get it.
What 85-year-old person is going to redevelop their land into a fourplex? But
Well, I didn't
just
say
all
like,
jokes aside, but
no, I get that.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about somebody a little bit younger, but either way, just food for thought. So change of gears here a little bit is that, one thing is that we do obviously do is acreages. What did you see in the last year? Like, it seems like there's a ton of demand for acreages out there, no?
Yeah, it's it's funny. So in about 2011, the acreage market got really ridiculous and you couldn't find an acreage. And it was like, it took a while for it to ramp up. And then all of a sudden, I think around 2015, 2016, it slumped off again.
Yeah.
And then once COVID came, acreages started picking up. But now the land becomes so expensive. Can you find the land?
I get it.
And then it's like, and then buildings, you don't get a return on the buildings for resale. And so you can't find some of these properties. Like I've been looking for quite a few people and it's like, they're just not there.
Yeah.
And people are paying a lot of money for older properties that probably need a lot put into them.
Well, it's because of the maturity of the land, right?
Yeah, their septic systems are like almost being retired.
Yeah.
Right? Like they're at the end of their lives and then you're looking at what else do you need to put in the house. But you do have, like, if you're buying treed established lots, I think it's totally worth it.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: is that it's just like buying a lot in Brighton or one in Nutana.
Yeah.
Right. You have one with maturity and the nice trees and
a
and
good
then
point,
and then one you're out in a windy field.
Yeah.
Right. So like I can understand why people are paying 4 times as much for the lot.
But if you're driving down and you're going down Clarence and you're looking at all these older developments that are there, and then you start driving past and you say Edgemont on your right and Edgemont east on the left. There's a lot of properties going up there, and then you're going into Ravenswood, and I mean that's just going south of the city on one street, right? And it's like, and it's amazing. Most of those properties are sitting at like $2 million.
Yeah, 1 to 2,
if not a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the lot itself is 300 to 400.
Well, I'm saying in
right?
Edgemont. I'm saying, yeah,
Yeah.
like, on the way there is, but we're seeing 10-acre parcels. A lot of people, they're spending $1 million for an old house with a 10-acre parcel on it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Just because of the proximity, the maturity, the location, obviously that goes a long way. But
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a big demand still for next year. We had a lot of activity, even anything that was kind of close to the city, is that I think that there's still going to be a ton of demand.
I think that something that people aren't taking in consideration is our age demographic in Saskatoon. Because people are saying, where's all this money coming from? And the thing is, like, when we first got into real estate, I was 25, you were like 20. And when we looked at it, it was like, now all of our friends that are now our age, they're like 40 and 45, they're the ones that are owning their businesses. They're the ones that are doing this, and they've stayed here.
Yeah.
And so there's that next level in people's lives to where now they're looking at where's their home for the next 15 to 25 years, right? And that's just people staying here. That's not including everybody that's coming here for high-paying jobs from mining companies and so forth. So I think that those all have to be taken into consideration of just how how strong the economy is in Saskatchewan, if that makes sense. And so then, and most of those people, when they're moving into a new neighborhood, that's a lot of the prices they're getting into.
Right. No, I can understand that. Yeah.
Yeah. Just because everybody says, like, how can these prices get to where they are? And I'm like, people are staying here, they're getting better jobs, they're retiring here, they're moving for mining. There's so many different examples, I guess.
Yeah. There's a lot of great reasons why our values have improved a lot in the last couple of years, right? And we've also been behind the national averages, we still are, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
And like, people are like $1 million. $1 million isn't what it was before, right? Like what was 900 is now 1.2, and so it's not like people are like living way out of their means, but it's just a different market.
Certainly is. What a great way to end it out to the year. Yeah.
Merry Christmas to everybody and happy holidays to you and your families. We wish you all the best in the new year as well.
Yeah, season's greetings to everybody, and hopefully you get some time with your family and you get to enjoy that.